Bonsoir les amis, this is Llyane Stanfield and you can find me at parisianfrench.com. Today I would like to tell you what is the actual secret of making conversation in French. And the reason I'm talking about this is because it has been I had quite a few conversations with a lot of people who would like to make conversation in French, who would like to learn how to speak in French. And most people are swearing by the applications, the French learning applications like Rosetta Stone, Boozoo, I think it is. Let me just see because I have a list here. Yeah, I mean, let me see if I can give you a few of them. Yeah, so I have Fluent EU, Mind Snacks, Mosalingua, Rosetta Stones, Memories, Boozoo, Speak Easy, and Duolingo. And very many people really literally are swearing by these applications. And I would like to tell you that learning to speak French does not come from these applications. And actually, I'm sure that, I'd like to know from you. I'd like you to, comment or give me a like, which I'll see better in this on my phone. If that's the case for you, if you try to learn and keep learning on these applications, and eventually weren't able to actually make any conversation. So what my experience is from both two ends. First of all, as a French language coach, most of my clients have been trying to learn French through applications, and eventually, after years and years and years of trying and starting and restarting and going back and keep going, back and forth, and I'm done with that. For instance, Duolingo 3, and I'm still not really making conversation. You do feel progress, but you actually don't get to speak. So that is that end of things. From as a coach, as a language, as me helping you to make conversation in French. Then on the other end, as a user, I use Duolingo, and I have been using it for Spanish, and I have been using it, and I'm still using it for Italian. With Spanish, I have been learning Spanish on Duolingo for quite a few months, and I do have people who I can make conversation with and practice with, and it just I didn't end up making any conversation. With Italian, I am right now learning Italian, and I am at 32% fluent. I cannot make a sentence. I recognize them, but I am only at 32%. Granted, I didn't finish it all, but I started last November. So November, December, January, February, March, well, more than half a year, more than 6 months. With me, you guys get to speak right away. Like after the second lesson, you get to speak right away. So my point here is this. If you go to Paris, or when you go to Paris, and you want to make conversation with a Parisian, most of Parisians are going to have the experience of people trying to speak their language, which is fantastic, and they're really helpful. Maybe sometimes they're not, but most of the times they are. And there is a difference though between having to put yourself in their shoes, right? Having to deal with someone who knows a word here and there, or having to deal with someone who's actually making sentences, even if they are simplistic, but they're making sentences. There is a communication, there is something. And if you have been in sales at all, you will know that when you speak someone's language, you actually speak to their heart. So connection happens much easier when you actually do speak their language. Of course, there are ways of you speaking in English with them. Most of French people do speak English. Most Europeans speak English. And so that will be some communication there, of course. It will be communication there, of course. But remember, when you speak English, they get to your heart. When you speak French, you get to their heart. And so you get to impress them with your French. Even, again, I really want to emphasize this, even if it's not a sophisticated French, but making a sentence, whenever we make a clear sentence, even if it's simplistic, with simple words, simple, communication, our brain goes immediately in images. So if you're telling me something about, I bought a ball, well, in my head is going to be the image of a ball, and I'm going to ask you what color. So it's the connection right there. And so again, if you want to make connections with the French, do make an effort to have, and I'm not saying that you're not making an effort, but there's this false belief that if we use apps because they're convenient, they're going to get us somewhere. And unfortunately, they don't quite do that service. And so when you are doing, in all my programs, this is the reason I don't sell any programs without Skype classes. Very rarely do I ever give something that is fully self-educational. That is the reason why, because you need someone to guide you through the actual in-person, living, live conversation. You cannot learn how to make a conversation, like a living, breathing conversation, a connection with someone, just by learning with a robot, with a play game, with a video game. Pretty much that's what they are. They're video games and helping you to get some words. And yes, it's motivating because you see progress. Yes, it's motivating because you actually feel like you're doing something about it, but they help only up to a certain point. In fact, with all of my clients, I tell all my clients that they actually can use any application that they want while they work with me on conversation. So they're not exclusive. If you do work with an application, feel free to do that as you make conversation with me. So just to that point, I had this week a question from, let me just move there, from Dennis, and in the group. And it was, and I'm not sure how many people actually got to have, to read the answer that I gave there. But it is important for exactly this situation where knowing that most people are actually learning with apps and desperately trying to make sense in an actual conversation. And I know in our group we don't actually have a living conversation. However, the writing that we do to each other, it's like Facebook, right, is, conversation. And so it is the first step toward a living conversation. And so, but it has to make sense. Again, if it's a clear sentence, it doesn't have to be sophisticated, but it's a very, very clear sentence, then you will port your partner of conversation in the image of the idea of what you actually wanted to convey through your communication. And so we have an image in our head, and so it's no longer as important if we don't make that sophisticated sentence. It is very important from start to finish that you make a clear sentence. And so so his question was, welcome guys. How do I say welcome guys? And he says that guys is frequently used these days for either males or females. Is there a French equivalent? So first of all, I pointed out, and I'm going to tell you with more details now, the difference between English and French. In English, we're much more informal. In French, we're much more, French is a much more, I want to say, not traditional, conservative. It's a conservative language. And so guys, yeah, les mecs, so of course you have that. you do have words that are equivalent. And Denise, if you're listening or watching this, I didn't write that in your answer. Yes, they are a lot of les gars, les mecs, right, which can be used for both genders, for both male and female. But the trick here is that we have to just adapt to the situation. In this group, we don't know who we are really talking to. People who are just coming to the group, we are welcoming them as you would do otherwise in Paris with talking to strangers. So you would actually talk with vous. That's my first note. And then if you want to, there's really important for you to get to create this habit for yourself. It's so important. The habit of actually looking up the words before you are actually asking for advice. Not me, anybody, okay? So don't take it the wrong way. I'm not asking you not to ask me a question. This is, I'm helping you to create a habit of serving yourself in a much better way. When you are looking for the word guys, and you will find whatever options that there are in the dictionary, then I would prefer that you show me the question this way, and not just for Dennis, for everybody. Hey Llyane, I would like to know how to say welcome guys. I know that guys is, like he said, like Dennis says, it's something very English. Is there any equivalent in French? This is what I found. Which one works is, and please, please help. And this is to ask me as well as anybody else. The reason is because, well, first of all, once you find your own words, then you may already find your answer. And when you find your own answer, you will remember it. You will remember it 10 times faster and better than if I give you the answer. I don't want to stay away from giving you the answer, though. Everybody who's here and is working with me, they know I'm always telling them, I don't want to give you the answer. Why don't we find out the answer together? Or why don't you look up for the answer? Let's see together which one works in this case. Because if you're here in this group, something didn't work for you. Either schools didn't work for you, and I know a few people here who have been in school for French, so school didn't quite work well for you, because otherwise you wouldn't be in this group. Or applications didn't work well for you, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. You'd be conversational, right? You wouldn't need help. And so I'm here to guide you, to coach you, and also to give you tips, as in direction, as in how to direct yourself. So for instance, whenever you do have a question, you do have a problem that you're looking to fix, you're really looking for the solution, please look first, create your own solution first. And if you have someone to ask, and now I'm talking about me, and I'm teaching you how to be self-sufficient. I'm teaching you how to not need me, okay? I have a business, yes. I want to make money, yes. But I do not want to keep you at a level that you can actually push yourself forward with. My goal here is to give you as many tools as possible so that you can become self-sufficient, so that you can learn on your own. And I'm sure that most people are happy here. So do that. Find your own solution first, and then come to me with, I found this. Which one works? Or is there any of them that works? Or is there another one? Please help. Okay? So I want to see that you are taking a step. All the other groups of French language, or of any language that exists that I found, people are just throwing information out there in the group, and that's very overwhelming. This is why you have other groups to go for rules and regulations and examples. I'm coming up with examples, but rules, grammar and vocabulary, those you can find in books. And if any other group helps you with that, fantastic, use them. But this has to be a completely different one. Here is a coach that actually helps you become self-sufficient, helps you go beyond just a list of rules and really make something about the language for yourself. So those would be my first two notes. Now, and if you look with the hello guys, hi guys, or welcome guys, I didn't really find, and one of the very good resources that I'll always recommend is Linge, Linge.fr. So use it and see what they come up with, because it's a crawler of bilingual websites. And so you're going to have the context in English and you'll see the translation in French. And so you'll see if that is the context that you're looking for. Welcome guys, I haven't found like anywhere. Okay, just because I wanted to see, can anybody actually find welcome guys? It can be used. Just don't consider that resource is exhaustive. It's not like the beyond and all. It's the best that exists out there for context, for sure. There are ways to say welcome guys, yes, but we're talking here with people who are beginners and intermediate, and I really want to help you move yourself to the next level, to the being a little more help yourself much more than you actually, I feel, you do. So what I found in this situation would be bonjour à tous et toutes. Salut if it's more informal. Bonjour tout le monde, bonjour à tous. So when you combine this with bienvenue or soyez le bienvenu, you get yourself the expression welcome. So the reason I put it that way is because you can combine what you can find in, for instance, Linge, which I did, and the words that you can actually find welcome, right? Bienvenue. And so putting them together, it creates for yourself a habit that actually makes you gets you used into being more self-sufficient, into being more proactive, into creating your own language, and then ask for forgiveness, not for permission. So create it, say it. If it's wrong, I'm sorry. Oh, this is right. Okay, why? Thank you so much. Rather than, oh, I'm sorry. How do I say? Because that puts you into the disempowered position, as well as our brain remembers what we discover. And this is the reason I keep encouraging you, try it first and then come and ask me. I tried this, I found this is what I think it is, what do you think, or what's your advice, or when do I use it, things like that. Okay, so that in that case conversation is going to be so much less daunting for you. That's why we are used to ask questions around, because we have the internet where we're asking questions all the time. Because we are used to learning with tools and apps that give us the answer right away, but that does not help with conversation. Conversation doesn't equal knowledge. Someone who knows this much of French may be a much better conversationalist than someone who's teaching French. So I'm telling you from my own experience with my clients. So don't equate, I know this much, I can speak this much. No, you can know this much and really make conversation with the words that you know, or you can discover as you make conversation. It's really very powerful. So that's what I wanted to say to you. Remember, yes, I did actually post the program that I created for you right now. This is what it addresses. This is what gives you the power of making conversation in France, in Paris, if you have a trip that you plan to have this summer or later. But this is a program that has the power of the intensive program, and it's much shorter, much more to the point, and much more compact, so that it helps you make real conversation, in person, reality conversation, not just what we find in the apps. So I'm going to put the link in the comments below, and I'm looking forward to your comments and questions. I do know that this is a very hot topic, and this is the difference between someone who's just learning French and someone who's speaking French. The one who's learning French stays in the apps and in the learning, and the one who speaks French starts with something and then goes out and speaks. And you need one-to-one conversation practice in order for you to practice that skill. Thank you so much for watching. Stay on your game and keep going for a dream to become bilingual, learn to speak Parisian French, and break the language barrier. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt. Au revoir.